Have you ever wondered what happens when love becomes evidence and passion becomes a death sentence? In the golden corridors of Dubai's most exclusive luxury hotel, where crystal chandeliers cast rainbow reflections on marble imported from Italian quarries and champagne costs more than most people's monthly rent, Maria Santos believed she was living her American dream behind the mahogany bar of the Sky Lounge. What started as professional service would end in recorded betrayal, and what began as forbidden attraction would destroy a hospitality empire built on secrets and lies. On the morning of October 22nd, 2024, the emergency sirens that pierced Dubai's dawn silence weren't celebrating another successful night at the Burj Celestial Hotel's legendary Sky Lounge. They were the harsh wail of ambulances racing toward the 47th floor, where behind bulletproof glass and gold-plated fixtures, they would discover a scene that would destroy Dubai's most prestigious hospitality dynasty. The body of Maria Elena Santos, a 28-year-old Filipina bartender, lay motionless behind the bar where she had served 50,000 cocktails to celebrities, oil heiresses, and tech moguls. Her blood mixed with spilled Dom Perignon worth more than her annual salary, while shattered crystal glasses reflected the dawn light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Dubai Marina. Standing in the corner, trembling in a designer Hermes dress stained with evidence of her crime, was Layla Al-Rashid, wife of the hotel's owner. In her manicured hands, she clutched a tablet displaying intimate recordings that had driven her from Dubai's perfect socialite to cold-blooded killer in the span of one devastating night. Dubai in 2024 represented the pinnacle of luxury hospitality, where five-star hotels served as stages for the Emirates elite to display their wealth, power, and carefully curated lifestyles. Behind the glittering facades and Instagram-perfect venues lay an intricate ecosystem where staff members were expected to remain invisible while facilitating the dreams and desires of the world's wealthiest travelers. The Burj Celestial Hotel existed at the apex of this hospitality hierarchy, its Sky Lounge serving as Dubai's most exclusive nightlife destination. Every cocktail was crafted by master mixologists. Every conversation was conducted in hushed tones that protected state secrets and family scandals, and every employee was vetted more thoroughly than diplomatic personnel. For families like the Al-Rashids, who had built their fortune on creating perfect experiences for others, maintaining their own perfect image was essential to their business empire's continued success. Any crack in their facade threatened not just personal reputation, but billions of dollars in international investments. Maria Elena Santos was born on June 15, 1996, in La Hague, Cebu City, the eldest of 4 children raised in a concrete blockhouse where ambition lived alongside financial hardship. Her father, Eduardo, worked as a security guard at a local resort, his wages barely covering rent and basic necessities. Her mother, Carmen, took in laundry from wealthy Filipino families, while teaching Maria and her siblings that education and hard work were their only paths to prosperity. From childhood, Maria demonstrated the natural charisma and emotional intelligence that would eventually make her one of Dubai's most sought-after bartenders. At 16, she began working part-time at Cebu's upscale hotels, learning that her ability to remember guests' preferences, speak conversational English, and maintain professional composure under pressure could earn her tips that exceeded her father's daily wages. "You have a gift for making people feel special," her supervisor at the Shangri-La Cebu told her during her final performance review before leaving for Dubai. "Use that gift to build the life your family deserves." In March 2019, Maria arrived at Dubai International Airport carrying bartending certifications from 3 Philippine hospitality schools, letters of recommendation from Cebu's finest hotels, and dreams of earning enough money to buy her family a house and send her younger siblings to university. Her employment contract with Celestial Hospitality Group seemed impossibly generous. Rupee 8,000 monthly salary plus tips, luxury staff accommodation in Dubai Marina, health insurance, and annual flights home to the Philippines. For a woman who had never earned more than $2,000 monthly in Cebu, the opportunity represented financial freedom beyond her wildest childhood dreams. The recruitment process had been thorough and professional, with background checks, skill assessments, and cultural orientation programs designed to prepare Filipino workers for the sophisticated clientele they would serve in Dubai's luxury hospitality sector. The Burj Celestial Hotel's Sky Lounge existed in a realm beyond ordinary luxury. Located on the 47th floor with panoramic views of Dubai's skyline, the venue served cocktails crafted from rare spirits, featured live performances by international artists, and attracted clientele whose combined net worth exceeded most countries' GDP. Maria's supervisor, Fatima Al-Zahra, a stern Emirati woman who had managed the venue for 8 years, made the professional expectations clear during Maria's first shift. Our guests pay premium prices for flawless service and absolute discretion. You will remember their preferences, anticipate their needs, and never acknowledge their personal conversations or private moments. You are here to serve, not to socialize. The Sky Lounge's clientele included Hollywood celebrities seeking privacy, business tycoons negotiating billion-dollar deals, and royal family members entertaining international dignitaries. Every evening brought encounters with wealth and power that most Filipinos could never imagine, creating an intoxicating atmosphere where Maria felt simultaneously privileged and invisible. Within 6 months, Maria had become the Sky Lounge's most requested bartender. Her ability to craft perfect cocktails matched by her talent for making guests feel genuinely welcomed rather than merely served. Her tip income alone exceeded rupee 15,000 monthly, allowing her to send rupee 10,000 home to her family while living comfortably in Dubai. Her professional success came from understanding that luxury hospitality required emotional intelligence as much as technical skill. She remembered that Saudi Prince Khalid preferred his whiskey neat with a single ice cube, that Russian oligarch Viktor Petrov always ordered champagne when celebrating successful oil deals, and that British tech heiress Sarah Cambridge needed her gin martinis extra dry when discussing family legal troubles. Maria doesn't just serve drinks, one regular guest noted in a review that helped establish her reputation. She creates experiences that make you feel like the most important person in the room. But Maria's professional excellence and growing confidence would soon attract attention from someone whose interest would prove far more dangerous than any celebrity or business mogul she had served. Khalid bin Ahmed Al-Rashid represented everything Dubai's hospitality elite valued and feared in equal measure. Born in 1975 to a family that had transformed pearl diving wealth into a modern business empire worth rupee 15 billion, he had inherited not just extraordinary wealth, but the psychological complexity that came with owning venues where the world's most powerful people revealed their most intimate secrets. Educated at Cornell University's School of Hotel Administration and trained in Swiss finishing schools, Khalid spoke 6 languages fluently and could discuss everything from wine vintages to geopolitical strategy with equal expertise. His hotel empire included properties in 12 countries, but the Burj Celestial remained his flagship, the venue where he personally ensured that every detail met his impossibly high standards. His marriage to Layla Al Maktoum in 2010 had united 2 of the UAE's most influential hospitality dynasties. The wedding, featured in 3 international magazines, had showcased a couple that seemed genetically engineered for success in Dubai's competitive luxury market. But those who worked closely with Khalid understood that his perfectionist nature extended to controlling every aspect of his environment, including the people who served his guests. Khalid's first meaningful interaction with Maria occurred during a private event at the Sky Lounge, where he was hosting a celebration for Japanese investors considering a $2 billion resort development project. As Maria served expertly crafted cocktails to guests whose decisions would affect thousands of jobs, Khalid noticed her ability to navigate complex cultural sensitivities while maintaining flawless service standards. The Filipina Bartender, Khalid told his general manager after the event concluded successfully. She understands hospitality at a level that can't be taught. I want her assigned to all our VIP private events. Maria interpreted this recognition as professional advancement, validation that her skills were appreciated by Dubai's hospitality elite. She had no way of understanding that Khalid's interest in her abilities was becoming complicated by attraction to her personality and physical presence. Over the following weeks, Khalid began visiting the Sky Lounge during Maria's shifts, ostensibly to monitor service quality and guest satisfaction, but increasingly focused on observing Maria's interactions with clients. He justified his presence as quality control, but the frequency of his visits and the intensity of his attention suggested something far more personal. Their conversations, always framed as professional consultations, revealed Khalid's growing fascination with Maria's background, her dreams for her family, and her perspectives on luxury hospitality. Unlike the socialites and business partners who filled his daily life, Maria spoke with genuine enthusiasm about her work and authentic gratitude for opportunities that others took for granted. "You're different from most people in this business," Khalid told Maria during one of their late-evening conversations after the Sky Lounge had closed. "You actually care about making people happy, not just about making money from them." By June 2024, Khalid had begun requesting Maria's presence at private dinners and exclusive events beyond her normal bartending duties. These requests, presented as career development opportunities, gradually isolated Maria from other staff members while increasing her direct contact with the hotel's owner. What Maria didn't realize was that Khalid's growing interest in her was being observed by his wife Layla, whose social media empire and business partnerships depended on maintaining Dubai's most enviable marriage. The sophisticated surveillance systems that protected the hotel's VIP guests were also recording every interaction between the Filipina bartender and the married hotel owner. The stage was being set for an affair that would be documented in excruciating detail, creating the evidence that would eventually destroy 3 lives and expose the dark underbelly of Dubai's perfect hospitality facade. The transition from professional mentorship to personal relationship happened gradually, as Khalid used his position and wealth to create opportunities for private conversations with Maria that no hotel employee could reasonably refuse. Late-night business meetings in his private office, exclusive training sessions for high-profile events, and professional development dinners at Dubai's finest restaurants became the venues where their relationship evolved beyond the boundaries of appropriate employer-employee interaction. "I want to help you build a career in hospitality management," Khalid told Maria during a dinner at Nabu, Dubai, where a single meal cost more than her monthly rent. "You have natural leadership abilities that shouldn't be wasted behind a bar. Let me mentor you toward management positions that could change your family's entire future." Maria's response was gratitude mixed with growing attraction to a man who seemed to see her potential in ways that no one had before. "I've never had anyone believe in me like this," she replied, her defenses lowered by months of attention from someone whose approval could transform her career prospects. Their first intimate encounter occurred in Khalid's private suite at the hotel, following a celebration for a successful business deal that had required Maria to work late coordinating VIP service. The combination of champagne, professional achievement, and months of building emotional connection created the moment when their relationship crossed into territory that would ultimately prove deadly for both of them. "You're not just my employee," Khalid whispered as their professional relationship transformed into something far more dangerous. "You're the most genuine person I've encountered in years of dealing with people who only want something from me." What neither Khalid nor Maria realized was that the private suite, like every area of the hotel, was equipped with sophisticated security cameras designed to protect VIP guests from blackmail and industrial espionage. The same technology that safeguarded celebrity affairs and business negotiations was now recording their own intimate moments in high-definition detail. Layla Al-Rashid's discovery of her husband's affair began with routine review of hotel security footage, a practice she had developed as part of monitoring the luxury experiences that supported her social media brand and business partnerships. As the public face of the Al-Rashid hospitality empire, she regularly reviewed guest interactions to identify content for her Instagram account and business networking. But during a September 2024 review session, Layla discovered hours of footage showing her husband's intimate relationship with Maria Santos, captured by cameras in his private office, the Sky Lounge after hours, and most damaging of all, his personal suite where they had conducted their affair over multiple months. The recordings were comprehensive and devastating. Passionate encounters, emotional confessions, and detailed conversations about their future together that revealed Khalid's growing dissatisfaction with his marriage and his plans to elevate Maria's career regardless of professional ethics or family consequences. For 3 weeks, Layla systematically collected security footage spanning 4 months of her husband's affair, creating a comprehensive archive of evidence that documented not just infidelity, but emotional betrayal that threatened everything she had built her identity around. The recordings showed Khalid expressing feelings for Maria that he had never shared with his wife, discussing their marriage in terms that revealed his contempt for the relationship that had been the foundation of their business empire. Layla is perfect on paper, Khalid's voice was clearly captured telling Maria during one of their intimate encounters. Beautiful, successful, connected to all the right families, but being with her feels like performing in a business presentation. With you, I can finally be authentic instead of always playing a role. These recordings would become the evidence that drove Layla from successful businesswoman to calculated killer, as she realized that her perfect marriage was not just ending, but had been a facade that her husband had been mocking in private for months. Armed with comprehensive video evidence of her husband's betrayal, Layla began planning a response that would eliminate the threat to her marriage while maintaining her reputation as Dubai's premier hospitality socialite. Her plan required confronting Maria directly, presenting the evidence of her betrayal, and demanding her immediate resignation and departure from Dubai. What Layla hadn't anticipated was how completely the discovery of the recordings had changed her own psychological state, transforming her from a woman who valued control and perfection into someone capable of violence, when those values were threatened by undeniable evidence of her husband's deception. The 3 weeks between discovering the recordings and the fatal confrontation marked Layla Al-Rashid's transformation from Dubai's most enviable socialite into a woman consumed by rage, humiliation, and the desperate need to protect the perfect image that had defined her identity for over a decade. Her daily routine became obsessed with reviewing the security footage, cataloging every intimate moment between Khalid and Maria, and planning a confrontation that would restore her sense of control over a situation that had shattered every assumption about her marriage and her life. I built my entire brand around being the perfect wife, Layla confided to her sister during one of their few conversations about the crisis. My Instagram, my business partnerships, my social status, everything depends on people believing that Khalid and I have Dubai's most successful marriage. This Filipino girl has destroyed everything I've worked for. Layla's plan was methodical and reflected her business background in crisis management and public relations. She would confront Maria privately at the Sky Lounge after closing time, present the video evidence of her affair with Khalid, and offer her a choice: accept immediate termination and deportation with a modest severance package, or face public exposure that would destroy her career and shame her family in the Philippines. The confrontation was scheduled for October 21st, a Monday evening when the Sky Lounge would be closed for routine maintenance, ensuring privacy for a conversation that would determine Maria's fate and Layla's future. Khalid would be attending a business conference in Abu Dhabi, providing the perfect opportunity for a woman-to-woman resolution of the crisis. I'll give her 24 hours to pack her belongings and leave Dubai quietly, Layla told herself as she prepared for the meeting. Once she's gone, Khalid, and I can repair our marriage without the distraction of his Filipino obsession. October 21st began as a routine Monday for Maria, who spent the morning sending money to her family in Cebu and video calling her youngest sister about university applications. She had no warning that her relationship with Khalid had been discovered, no indication that her entire life in Dubai was about to be destroyed by a woman whose existence she had tried to ignore during her months of affair with a married man. Her last shift at the Sky Lounge proceeded normally, serving regular clients and preparing the venue for its scheduled maintenance closure. Her final Instagram post, a photo of the Dubai skyline taken from the 47th floor, was captioned, "Another beautiful night in paradise, grateful for every opportunity." As she cleaned glasses and organized inventory after the last guests departed, Maria had no idea that Layla Al-Rashid was already in the building, carrying a tablet loaded with video evidence and a heart filled with murderous rage. Layla entered the Sky Lounge using her access codes as the hotel owner's wife, finding Maria alone in the venue that had been the stage for months of her husband's betrayal. The confrontation began with deceptive calm as Layla approached the bar where Maria was completing her closing duties. "I think we need to discuss your relationship with my husband," Layla announced, her voice steady despite the emotional storm building inside her. Maria's immediate reaction, dropping the glass she was polishing and stepping backward in recognition of the danger she now faced, confirmed Layla's suspicions that the affair had been conducted with full knowledge of its married status and potential consequences. "Mrs. Al-Rashid, I can explain," Maria began, but Layla cut her off by placing the tablet on the bar and pressing play on the first of many recorded encounters. For the next 30 minutes, Layla forced Maria to watch selected highlights from 4 months of surveillance footage, each video more intimate and damaging than the last. The recordings showed not just physical betrayal, but emotional connection that made Maria's presence in Khalid's life an existential threat to Layla's marriage and identity. "You thought you were clever, seducing my husband in his own hotel," Layla said, her voice growing colder with each video. "But everything in this building is recorded. Every kiss, every confession, every promise he made to you, I have it all in high definition." The psychological impact of watching her most private moments, displayed as evidence of her betrayal, transformed Maria from confident bartender into terrified woman, who finally understood the full consequences of her choices. Faced with undeniable evidence of her affair and the reality of its consequences, Maria's response revealed both her genuine feelings for Khalid and her complete underestimation of the danger she faced from his wife. Rather than accepting Layla's demand for immediate departure, Maria chose to defend her relationship as authentic love rather than opportunistic seduction. "I never meant for this to happen," Maria said, tears streaming down her face as she watched herself on Layla's tablet. "But what Khalid and I have is real. He's unhappy in your marriage. That's not my fault. I just gave him something genuine for the first time in years." Her words, intended as explanation, struck Layla as confirmation of her worst fears. That her marriage had been a performance, that her husband preferred a Filipina bartender to his successful wife, and that her perfect life had been built on lies that were now exposed in humiliating detail. The moment Maria attempted to justify the affair as legitimate love, rather than acknowledge it as betrayal and mistake, Layla's carefully planned confrontation transformed into something far more dangerous. The psychological control she had maintained for 3 weeks shattered completely, as she realized that Maria showed no remorse for destroying her marriage. "You think you know him?" Layla screamed, her voice echoing in the empty Sky Lounge. "You're nothing but a foreign worker he's using for entertainment. He'll never leave me for someone like you, someone who serves drinks for a living and sends money to a slum in the Philippines." Maria's response, standing straighter and declaring her intention to fight for her relationship with Khalid, sealed her fate by confirming Layla's belief that gentle persuasion would never remove this threat to her marriage. The physical confrontation started when Maria attempted to leave the Sky Lounge, announcing her intention to call Khalid and discuss the situation directly with him. Layla's attempt to prevent her departure escalated quickly from grabbing Maria's arm to striking her with the tablet that contained the evidence of their affair. The fight that followed was brief but deadly, as Layla's rage transformed her from sophisticated socialite into someone capable of murder. The Sky Lounge's marble surfaces and crystal fixtures became weapons as the two women struggled for control of the situation. Security cameras captured every moment of the violence, recording Layla's transformation from wronged wife seeking justice to killer destroying the evidence of her husband's betrayal, along with the woman who had seduced him. Maria Santos died when Layla struck her with a heavy crystal decanter from the Sky Lounge's premium spirits collection, the same type of bottle that Maria had used to serve expensive whiskey to the venue's elite clientele. The irony that she was killed with an instrument of her profession was not lost on investigators who would later review the security footage. Her final words, captured clearly by the venue's audio system, were, "Please don't hurt me. I have a family who depends on me." The mention of Maria's family, the parents and siblings in the Philippines who would be devastated by her death, added another layer of tragedy to a crime that had already destroyed multiple lives across 2 continents. For 17 minutes after Maria's death, security cameras recorded Layla sitting motionless at the bar, staring at the body of the woman who had threatened her marriage, while processing the reality that she had just committed murder. Her transformation from killer back to socialite was gradual but calculated, as she began planning how to present Maria's death as something other than premeditated murder. Her first action was to stage the scene as a robbery gone wrong, planting jewelry and cash around Maria's body to suggest that she had been killed by intruders seeking valuables. Her second was to delete what she believed were all copies of the surveillance footage that had driven her to murder. But Layla's technological sophistication was limited to social media and basic hotel management systems. She had no understanding of the cloud backup protocols and encrypted storage systems that would preserve every moment of her crime for forensic analysis. Khalid Al-Rashid's discovery of Maria's body at 6:45 a.m., when he returned early from his Abu Dhabi conference, was captured by the same security systems that had recorded their affair and its deadly conclusion. His genuine shock and grief provided investigators with clear evidence that he had not been involved in planning Maria's murder. His first call was to emergency services, his second was to his lawyer, and his third was to his wife, who answered with perfect calm and expressed appropriate shock at the terrible tragedy that had befallen their hotel's most valued employee. Dubai Metropolitan Police arrived at the Burj Celestial Hotel within minutes of Khalid's emergency call, initially expecting to investigate a robbery at one of Dubai's most secure venues. Detective Captain Omar Al-Mansouri, a 12-year veteran of Dubai's most high-profile cases, immediately recognized that the crime scene contradicted the burglary narrative that someone had attempted to create. Robbery victims don't arrange their own jewelry around their bodies, Detective Al-Mansouri explained to his team as they secured the Sky Lounge. And professional thieves don't waste time in venues where every surface is covered by security cameras. This was personal, and whoever did it wanted us to think otherwise. The investigation's first breakthrough came from the hotel's head of security, who informed police that the venue's comprehensive surveillance system had recorded everything that occurred in the Sky Lounge the previous evening. Within hours, investigators had recovered not just footage of Maria's murder, but 4 months of recorded encounters between her and Khalid that provided clear motive for the killing. The videos showed the development of their affair, their intimate conversations, and most damaging of all, Khalid's criticisms of his marriage that would have devastated any wife who discovered them. But the most crucial evidence was the confrontation footage itself, which showed Layla's premeditated arrival at the Sky Lounge, her systematic presentation of affair evidence to Maria, and the escalation from confrontation to fatal violence. "We have a complete record of motive, method, and murder," Detective Al-Mansouri announced to his superiors. "The perpetrator didn't just commit the crime, she documented her reasons for committing it." Layla Al-Rashid was arrested at her Dubai Hills mansion 18 hours after Maria's murder, maintaining her innocence despite overwhelming video evidence of her crime. Her arrest, captured by paparazzi who had been following the story since news of the Sky Lounge murder broke, marked the spectacular collapse of Dubai's most enviable hospitality power couple. "I was attending a charity dinner with 300 witnesses," Layla claimed during her initial interrogation, a statement immediately contradicted by security footage showing her entering the hotel at 11:15 p.m. and leaving at 12:47 a.m. Her designer lifestyle, social media empire, and reputation as Dubai's perfect wife crumbled as images of her arrest spread across international media within hours. Khalid's police interviews revealed a man genuinely devastated by Maria's death and completely unaware of his wife's discovery of their affair. His cooperation with investigators, combined with security footage confirming his absence from Dubai during the murder, gradually shifted his status from suspect to witness. "I loved Maria in a way I'd never loved anyone," Khalid confessed during questioning, his words creating headlines that would further damage his marriage and business reputation. "She saw me as a person, not as a business opportunity or social status symbol. Losing her feels like losing the only authentic relationship I've ever had." His testimony provided crucial context for understanding why the affair had been so threatening to Layla's sense of identity and marriage stability. News of the murder and affair spread through Dubai's business community within hours, triggering a crisis that threatened the Al-Rashid family's hospitality empire. International investors began withdrawing from projects, celebrity guests canceled reservations, and business partners distanced themselves from a brand now associated with adultery and murder. The Burj Celestial Hotel's occupancy rate dropped 60% within a week, while social media coverage of the scandal reached millions of viewers worldwide who followed the story of Dubai's perfect marriage turned deadly. The case attracted global media attention as it combined every element guaranteed to capture international interest: luxury Dubai lifestyle, forbidden romance between employer and employee, sophisticated surveillance evidence, and spectacular violence among the wealthy elite. Filipino media coverage focused on Maria as another overseas worker killed while pursuing dreams of supporting her family. Arab media emphasized the destruction of a prominent Emirati business dynasty through infidelity. International outlets treated it as a cautionary tale about surveillance culture and the deadly consequences of maintaining perfect images. The hashtag #Justice for Maria began trending worldwide as Filipino communities demanded accountability for another overseas worker death, while Dubai affair became shorthand for the dangers of conducting relationships under constant surveillance. The State of Dubai versus Layla Al Maktoum Al-Rashid opened in Dubai's criminal court as the most watched murder trial in UAE history. The case attracted international media coverage because it embodied fundamental conflicts between traditional marriage expectations, modern surveillance technology, and the treatment of foreign workers in the Gulf region. Judge Ahmed Al-Zahra faced the unprecedented challenge of adjudicating a case where comprehensive video evidence made the facts undisputable, but the emotional and cultural context created sympathy for both victim and perpetrator. The courtroom was packed daily with journalists, legal observers, women's rights advocates, and members of Dubai's business community who saw the case as a referendum on surveillance culture, and domestic violence among the wealthy. Chief Prosecutor Khalid Al-Rashid built his case around the comprehensive video evidence that showed Layla's systematic planning of the confrontation, her detailed preparation of affair evidence, and her decision to bring weapons, the crystal decanter, to what she claimed was intended as a peaceful conversation. The defendant didn't go to the Sky Lounge for a discussion, Prosecutor Al-Rashid argued during opening statements. She went there to eliminate a threat to her marriage, and she came prepared to use violence if her victim refused to cooperate with her demands. The prosecution's presentation of security footage showing the murder was devastating, as it demonstrated the escalation from confrontation to fatal violence and Layla's attempts to stage the scene afterward. Defense attorney Sarah Mitchell argued that her client had suffered extreme emotional distress upon discovering her husband's affair, which had temporarily eliminated her capacity for rational decision-making. The defense strategy focused on the devastating nature of discovering intimate recordings and the cultural pressure on Emirati women to maintain perfect marriages. Imagine discovering that your husband's affair had been conducted in your own business, recorded by your own security systems, and displayed your private humiliation in high-definition detail, defense attorney Mitchell told the jury. My client was not thinking rationally. She was acting from a place of profound psychological trauma. The defense called cultural experts to testify about the role of marriage in Emirati society and the psychological effects of discovering infidelity evidence in such graphic detail. The trial's most emotional moments came when Maria's family testified via video link from the Philippines about the impact of her death on their lives and community. Her father, Eduardo, still working as a security guard to support his remaining children, struggled to speak through his grief. Maria died building dreams for our family, he said, his voice barely audible in the courtroom. She worked so hard to give us better lives, and now those dreams are buried with her body. Her younger sister, Carmen, whose university tuition Maria had been funding, delivered the most powerful statement. My sister didn't deserve to die for falling in love. She deserved to live, to help our family, to build the future she worked so hard to create. The trial featured extensive testimony from technology experts and psychologists about the role of surveillance systems in modern relationships and the psychological impact of discovering infidelity through recorded evidence. Dr. Amira Hassan, a forensic psychologist, testified about the unique trauma of discovering betrayal through surveillance footage. Watching your spouse's intimate moments with another person, recorded in your own home or business, creates a form of psychological damage that traditional infidelity discovery cannot match, she explained. Technology experts testified about the hotel's surveillance systems and how the comprehensive recording had created unprecedented evidence of both the affair and its deadly consequences. Khalid's testimony provided the most dramatic moments of the trial as he described his relationship with Maria, his marriage to Layla, and his reaction to discovering that his affair had led to murder. I take full responsibility for the affair that created this tragedy, Khalid told the court through tears. But Maria didn't deserve to die because I was unhappy in my marriage. She was guilty of loving someone who wasn't free to love her back. His testimony revealed the emotional emptiness of his arranged marriage and confirmed the authenticity of his feelings for Maria, adding complexity to the prosecution's narrative while providing context for Layla's murderous rage. After 4 days of deliberation, the Dubai Criminal Court delivered a verdict that established important precedents for domestic violence cases involving surveillance evidence. Judge Ahmed Al-Zahra found Layla Al-Rashid guilty of second-degree murder, acknowledging the extreme emotional distress that had triggered her actions, while maintaining that discovering infidelity cannot justify taking human life. While this court recognizes the devastating emotional impact of discovering spousal infidelity through surveillance footage, Judge Al-Zahra stated during sentencing, The evidence shows premeditation and deliberate planning that cannot be excused by temporary emotional distress. Layla was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, with possibility of parole after 10 years. The sentence reflected the court's recognition that her crime was motivated by emotional trauma rather than financial gain or premeditated malice. The trial's conclusion marked the complete collapse of the Al-Rashid hospitality empire, as international investors, celebrity clients, and business partners permanently severed relationships with a brand associated with murder and surveillance abuse. The Burj Celestial Hotel was sold to international investors for 40% of its pre-trial value, while other Al-Rashid properties faced similar financial devastation. The family's estimated losses exceeded Rupee 8 billion, representing one of the largest wealth destructions in Dubai business history. Khalid's attempts to rebuild his career were hampered by his association with the scandal and his public confession of adultery, effectively ending his prominence in Dubai's hospitality industry. The case established crucial legal precedents regarding the use of surveillance evidence in domestic violence cases and the rights of employees to privacy, even in heavily monitored workplaces. The Dubai Court of Appeals ruled that surveillance systems designed for security purposes cannot be used for matrimonial spying without explicit consent from all parties, while employers must clearly disclose the extent of workplace monitoring to protect employee privacy rights. These precedents influenced legislation throughout the Gulf region, where similar surveillance technologies were being used in domestic and professional settings. The compensation awarded to Maria's family, $2.5 million, provided financial security, but could not address the emotional devastation of losing their primary breadwinner and source of hope for economic advancement. Her father, Eduardo, retired from his security job due to depression and health problems related to grief, while her siblings struggled to continue their education without Maria's financial support. A scholarship fund established in Maria's memory, funded by donations from Filipino communities worldwide, has provided educational support for her siblings and other overseas workers' children. Layla Al-Rashid's imprisonment represented one of the most dramatic falls from social prominence in UAE history. The woman who had once influenced millions through social media now lives in isolation, her carefully maintained appearance deteriorating under the stress of incarceration. Prison officials report that she spends most of her time writing letters to her children, from whom she is estranged, and following international news about the collapse of her family's business empire. Her social media accounts, once generating millions in advertising revenue, remain frozen as digital monuments to the perfect life that ended in murder. Maria's death prompted diplomatic discussions between the Philippines and UAE about protecting overseas workers from workplace harassment and ensuring that professional relationships don't evolve into exploitative situations. The case influenced policy in several Gulf countries, where governments implemented new regulations requiring transparent reporting of workplace incidents involving foreign employees and enhanced penalties for crimes against overseas workers. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs established new protocols for monitoring Filipino workers in high-risk employment situations, using Maria's case as an example of how professional relationships can become dangerous when power dynamics are ignored. Maria's murder prompted comprehensive legal reforms in the UAE regarding workplace harassment, surveillance privacy, and protection of foreign workers in vulnerable employment situations. The Maria Santos Worker Protection Act, passed by the UAE Federal National Council in August 2025, established new standards for employer-employee relationships and created criminal penalties for workplace exploitation. The legislation required mandatory training for all employers about appropriate professional boundaries, established anonymous reporting systems for workplace harassment, and created legal pathways for foreign workers to seek protection without risking deportation. Maria's death will not be in vain if these reforms prevent other workers from facing similar exploitation, announced UAE Minister of Human Resources Fatima Al-Zahra during the bill's signing ceremony. The case prompted the UAE's first comprehensive regulation of surveillance technology in workplace and domestic settings. The Privacy and Surveillance Act required explicit consent for recording in areas where employees might have reasonable expectations of privacy, even in heavily monitored luxury venues. Hotels, restaurants, and other hospitality businesses were required to clearly disclose the extent of their surveillance systems to employees and guests, while using surveillance footage for personal purposes became a criminal offense punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment. The legislation balanced security needs with privacy rights, ensuring that surveillance systems protected people rather than exploiting them. Dubai's hospitality industry implemented new professional standards designed to prevent the exploitation of power dynamics between employers and employees. The Emirates Hotel Association established mandatory ethics training, anonymous reporting systems, and regular audits of workplace relationships. These standards were adopted by hospitality industries in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and other Gulf countries, creating region-wide protections for service industry workers who often face vulnerability due to visa dependency and economic pressure. The UAE established comprehensive support networks for overseas workers facing workplace harassment, relationship exploitation, or domestic violence. The Maria Santos support centers, located in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah, provide legal aid, psychological counseling, emergency shelter, and assistance with employment transitions. These centers have assisted over 1,500 workers in their first 2 years of operation, helping people escape exploitative situations before they escalate to violence. Page 11. Long-term impact and recovery, 420 words. 5 years later, systematic change. By 2030, 5 years after Maria's murder, the reforms prompted by her death had fundamentally altered workplace dynamics in Dubai's hospitality industry. Statistics showed a 78% decrease in reported workplace harassment cases, while successful prosecutions of employer exploitation increased by 350%. The Maria Santos support centers had assisted over 4,000 overseas workers, preventing numerous situations that might have escalated to violence or exploitation. The comprehensive support system, combining legal aid, counseling, and economic assistance, provided workers with alternatives to enduring dangerous employment situations. The changes we made after Maria's death have protected thousands of workers from similar exploitation, observed Dr. Amira Al-Zahra, director of the Dubai Worker Protection Institute. Layla Al-Rashid, serving her 15-year sentence at Dubai Women's Correctional Facility, underwent a gradual psychological transformation as she processed the full consequences of her actions. Prison counseling programs helped her understand how surveillance obsession and perfectionist social pressure had driven her to murder. I was so focused on protecting my image that I forgot about protecting human life, Layla reflected during a rare prison interview in 2029. I destroyed everything I thought I was defending, and I took away a young woman's future in the process. Her participation in prison educational programs and domestic violence counseling demonstrated genuine remorse that contrasted sharply with her initial defiance during the trial. Khalid Al-Rashid continues his work as an advocate for ethical workplace relationships. His personal experience with the deadly consequences of power exploitation giving him unique credibility when addressing business leaders about employee safety. His autobiography, The Price of Perfect: Love, Surveillance, and Murder in Dubai's Elite, became an international bestseller with all proceeds supporting worker protection programs. The bartender who came to Dubai seeking opportunities to support her family's dreams has become a symbol of the millions of overseas workers who risk exploitation in pursuit of better lives. Her story demonstrates that behind every worker protection statistic lies a human being with family, dreams, and the fundamental right to safety in their workplace. The crystal decanter that killed her has been replaced by a memorial fountain where workers from around the world leave flowers and notes honoring those who died far from home while building dreams for their families. In the end, Maria Santos achieved something that no amount of social media perfection could provide. She became a catalyst for change that protects vulnerable people from the exploitation that destroyed her life. Her death revealed the deadly cost of unregulated surveillance and unchecked power dynamics, but her legacy proves that even the most senseless tragedies can be transformed into forces for justice when communities choose to act with courage and compassion. The Sky Lounge, where she mixed cocktails for Dubai's elite now, serves as a classroom where the next generation of business leaders learns that true success comes from protecting the people who work for them, not exploiting the power they hold over them. Maria's greatest victory was not the career advancement she sought, but the systematic changes that ensure other young women can pursue their dreams without fear of the exploitation that ended her life.